This baby cried for 5 days straight. The doctor said it was normal. The parents were desperate. The whole family no longer knew what to do. But then, someone nobody paid attention to, who was only in the house to accompany the grandmother, did something that changed everything. When she picked up the baby, the impossible happened. What she revealed later caught the whole family by surprise. And the truth about who she really was is something you would never imagine. This is the story of the woman who saved a baby, but who, deep down, also needed to be saved. The Albuquerque house was always silent at night. It was an old, two-story building surrounded by very tall trees that gave the place an almost solemn air. But that week, the silence had been replaced by something completely different. Screams. A child's screams. Screams that tore through the dawn like sharp blades. And that's how Clara Duarte realized that family was about to fall apart. She had only been working there for 5 months, hired as a night companion for Mrs. Helena Albuquerque, the 78-year-old matriarch who suffered from chronic insomnia and occasional forgetfulness. Clara was responsible for ensuring Dona Helena didn't get up alone, didn't stumble down the dark stairs, didn't confuse medications. It was a calm, routine job, which she performed with discreet competence. But nothing that week was calm, nor discreet, nor routine. Little Davi, Helena's grandson, recently arrived in Brazil after living his first 2 years in Australia, had stopped sleeping. He screamed every night, bawled in a way that didn't seem human. Not common pain, nor hunger, nor fright. It was a nameless despair. And Clara, as she prepared Donna Helena's chamomile tea for the 3rd time that dawn, heard the crying echo through the mansion once more. It was as if the whole house trembled. "Clara," a faint voice behind her said. Donna Helena was at the kitchen door, her white hair disheveled, her thick robe dragging on the wooden floor. "It's the boy again," she murmured. "My God, that crying. It sounds like when his mother—" She didn't finish the sentence, and Clara realized there was more to that story than she had been told. Upstairs, Mariana, Davi's mother and Helena's eldest daughter, tried in vain to calm the boy. He struggled, arched his back, his face red, his eyes swollen from so much crying. Her husband, Igor, paced the room in circles, completely lost. "It's been 5 days, Mariana, 5 days!" he yelled, pulling his hair. "And no doctor knows what's happening. We've been to 4 different pediatricians. 4! "I know," Mariana yelled back, sobbing. "But what do you want me to do? I haven't slept in days either, Igor. I can't even eat." Clara heard the argument from the hallway as she walked towards Dona Helena's room to take her back to bed. The old woman trembled in her arms. "They're going to end up hurting themselves," Helena murmured, distressed. "The boy is suffering. I know how to recognize a cry of pain." Clara took a deep breath and tried to maintain her composure. She shouldn't interfere. She never interfered. It was part of her training not to get emotionally involved with the family she worked for. But Davi's crying cut through her. It was a sound she knew, even trying to forget. When Donna Helena finally fell asleep, Clara sat in the armchair in the room, listening to Davi scream incessantly upstairs. Each scream seemed to pull a memory from the depths of her mind. And the more the crying echoed, the more Clara trembled, because she knew exactly what that meant. She knew the name of what was happening. She knew the child's exact pain. But no one in that house had any idea who she really was, or all she had seen, done, lost. At 4:30 in the morning, when the sky was still dark and the air was cold, Clara decided she couldn't take it anymore. She left Donna Helena's room and slowly climbed the stairs, each step creaking under her feet. In the hallway, she found Igor sitting on the floor with his hands on his face. "Igor?" she called softly. He looked up. He seemed 10 years older. "I don't know what to do, Clara. He won't stop, not even for a second. He's hurting himself from crying so much. Mariana is having an anxiety attack in there. He choked. I'm losing my son, and no one knows why. Clara put her hand on the railing to steady herself. Can I see, Davi? Igor looked at her as if she were a stranger. See? You? Clara. He rubbed his face. Look, I know you're a good person, but you work with the elderly, not babies. This is very serious. He might have some rare disease, some neurological problem. Clara remained calm.
I understand, but can I see? Just look. I won't do anything without your permission. Igor hesitated. The crying in the background grew louder, gaining strength, echoing like a plea. Finally, Igor stood up. All right, come. When Clara entered the room, she saw Mariana standing next to the crib, her eyes red, her hands trembling. She didn't even seem to notice Clara's presence. Davy was arched, his body rigid, his face almost purple from the effort. No more tears came out. The crying was dry, desperate, as if his body was at the limit of what it could endure. Clara felt her stomach turn. It was exactly the same as before, the same as what she tried to forget. Mariana finally noticed Clara. "What are you doing here?" she screamed. "This is family business. Seriously, Clara, please go back to your post. I can't deal with this right now." Igor placed a hand on his wife's shoulder. "Honey, let her look." "Look?" Mariana almost laughed nervously. "She's not a doctor, Igor. We went to real doctors and none of them found anything. You want my mother's companion to solve it?" Clara took a step forward and spoke softly. "Mariana, I just want to help. Just look. I swear I won't do anything without your permission." Mariana was about to send her away, but her son cried louder, as if begging, and Mariana collapsed into a chair, covering her face. "Do whatever you want. I don't know anything anymore." Clara approached the crib, and as soon as she looked at Davy, she was absolutely certain. His breathing was too fast. His chest rose more than it should. His hands were clenched with extreme force. The arching, the continuous crying, the refusal to lie down. Yes, that was it. Clara had seen this pattern hundreds of times, years ago, and in just 5 seconds, the pieces fit together. Davy was having a crying spasm due to severe reflux, an extremely painful combination that few professionals knew how to identify and which almost never showed up in exams. Clara turned to the parents. "I know what Davy has." Mariana slowly lifted her head, too exhausted to react. "You know?" "I do." "How?" Mariana murmured. "You're a caregiver technician, not a pediatrician." Clara took a deep breath. It was time. "Actually, before all this, before working with the elderly, I was a specialist nurse in neonatology. I worked for 14 years in pediatric emergencies and children's ICUs." The silence was immediate. Igor blinked several times, as if trying to absorb the words. Mariana sat up straighter, confused. "What?" Clara kept her voice firm. "I treated critically ill babies, premature babies, babies with an unknown diagnosis, babies who cried like this." She pointed to Davy. "I know this kind of cry. I know it better than I'd like." Mariana looked at her as if she were seeing a stranger. "But why did you never say that?" Clara lowered her eyes. "Because I no longer practice the profession, and because," she took a deep breath, "I didn't want to remember." Igor took a step closer. "Clara, what happened?" She closed her eyes for a second. When she opened them again, there was pain there. "I lost someone, a baby that," her voice failed, "a baby I couldn't save. After that, I couldn't enter a children's hospital anymore. I couldn't look at a crib without," she swallowed hard, "without remembering." The room fell silent, except for Davy's torn cry. Mariana was crying too. Igor looked stunned. Clara continued, "But I can help your son, if you want." Mariana and Igor exchanged a desperate look. They were at their limit. Their son was suffering, No doctor had solved it. They no longer had the strength to refuse anyone's help. What do you need to do?" Mariana asked with a trembling voice. Clara approached. "I need to hold him, that's all." She knew it wasn't all, but she didn't want to scare them. With extreme care, Clara took Davy in her arms. He squirmed, screamed, arched his body as if his spine were a live coal. Clara positioned him sideways, supported on her forearm, with his body slightly inclined. She used her left hand to support his little tummy, applying specific pressure. And she began to sway at a rhythm that wasn't a lullaby. It was technical, precise, calculated. Mariana watched in absolute silence. Igor didn't blink. And then, after 20 seconds, the impossible happened. The crying stopped. It stopped completely, suddenly. Silence fell over the room like a miracle. Mariana brought her hand to her mouth, stifling a sob. Igor took a step back, as if he had received a shock. Clara, however, continued to move at the same rhythm, until the little baby, exhausted after 5 days of suffering, finally relaxed and fell asleep in her arms. "My God," Mariana whispered, crying. He slept." Igor fell onto the edge of the bed, his hands in his hair, trembling.
How? Clara, how did you do that?" She kept her voice soft so as not to wake the boy. "Davy has severe reflux and pain-associated crying spasms. He can't lie down without feeling like he's burning inside. The technique I used helps relieve stomach pressure and calm the discomfort almost immediately." Mariana cried even more. "Why did no doctor see this?" Clara sighed. "Because it's hard to identify, and because few professionals have enough practical experience. This condition doesn't show up in tests. It's perceived in behavior, in crying, in posture." She looked at the sleeping baby. "And I spent many years listening to that kind of cry." Mariana's tears flowed freely. "Clara, you saved my son." Clara closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the words. "No, I'll just alleviate his pain. But to truly treat him, he'll need follow-up, changes in routine, adapted feeding, specific techniques, and," her voice softened, "someone who observes every detail." Mariana held her hand. "So please, don't leave. Not now, not after this." Clara froze, because that was everything she had ever imagined hearing again. I don't know if I can," she confessed. "I don't know if I'm ready to care for a child again. I'm afraid of reliving everything." Igor approached. "Clara, you brought our son back. That alone shows you're more ready than you think." And it was at that instant, with Davy sleeping in her lap and his parents looking at her with hope, that Clara felt something she hadn't felt in years. Something she thought was lost forever. Purpose. The sun began to rise behind the tall windows when Clara finally managed to put Davy in his crib. He was sleeping deeply, breathing slowly, with a serene forehead, as if he hadn't spent the last 5 days in absolute torment. Mariana and Igor remained silent, still shocked by what they had seen. It was as if they were facing an impossible phenomenon. But there he was, sleeping, like any healthy baby. When Clara slowly took her hands away from the baby, Mariana pressed her own mouth to hold back her cry. It was as if the calm of that little body was a miracle. "He didn't cry," she whispered. "He didn't even cry when you put him in the crib." Clara nodded, maintaining a professional demeanor, but her heart racing. "If he's comfortable, he won't wake up. And if he wakes up, I know how to help him." Igor ran his hands over his face in shock. "You need to explain everything to us. Absolutely everything." Clara took a deep breath. The easy part had been calming the child. The difficult part was now to come. "Let's go to the living room before he wakes up. I can explain better downstairs," she suggested. Mariana nodded quickly, as if afraid any sudden movement would wake her son. The three descended the stairs slowly, like those carrying something sacred. The living room lights were off,
illuminated only by the orange rays of dawn passing through the curtains. Igor opened the windows to let the fresh air in. Mariana sat on the sofa, hugging her legs, while Clara remained standing, as if about to present a medical report. "I want to understand everything," Mariana said, "from the beginning. Who are you, Clara? Who were you before you came here?" Clara swallowed hard. It was the question she had avoided for years, the question no one in that house had ever asked, the question that, just by hearing it, made her chest ache. But after everything that had happened, lying or omitting no longer seemed like an option. She sat on the opposite sofa, her hands clasped. "My full name is Clara Duarte Asuncion. I have a nursing degree and 2 specializations, pediatric emergency and neonatology. I worked 14 years at Hospital San Giraldo in the pediatric ICU wing, where the most severe cases were, babies who arrived between life and death." Mariana and Igor exchanged a surprised look. They could never have imagined that the woman who served Dona Helena tea at night had such a complex past. Clara continued, "I was very good at what I did, really good. So much so that doctors consulted me on difficult cases. Sometimes I identified a problem before the tests. Mothers trusted me." She took a deep breath. "Until one day, I failed. Or," she corrected herself, her voice breaking, "I think I failed." Mariana leaned forward. "What happened?" Clara closed her eyes for an instant, and when she opened them, the tears were already there. "I was caring for a baby named Samuel. He was only 8 months old. Her voice faltered a little, but she continued, "He had a rare heart condition, and I noticed his condition was worsening in the last few hours, but the on-call doctor didn't listen to me. And when he finally decided to act, it was already too late."
Deep, heavy. "He died in my arms," Clara whispered. "I could never forget his face, the sound he made. I felt responsible. Guilt, fear, trauma, a bit of everything. And She shrugged, stopped. Mariana put her hand to her mouth. "Clara." "I quit the profession," Clara said, staring at the floor. "I couldn't enter an infant ICU anymore. Every cry, every respirator, every incubator, I couldn't bear it. I thought I would never touch a baby again without feeling like I was reliving the worst day of my life. So, I accepted a job with the elderly. It was the furthest I could get from that universe. Silence again, only the sound of birds outside. But today," Clara murmured, "when I heard Davy cry, I recognized it. I don't like it, but I recognized it, and I couldn't stand by." Mariana wiped a tear. Igor looked deeply moved. "Clara," Mariana said with a choked voice, "you didn't fail Samuel. You saved my son today, and he's alive, and he's sleeping thanks to you." Clara took a deep breath, trying to compose herself. "Thank you. But now we need to do what really matters. Address Davi's problem." Igor sat up on the couch, focused. "Then tell us everything we need to do." Clara nodded. "He has severe reflux. It's not just common reflux. It's internal, deep. The acid comes up and causes a burning sensation in his esophagus. Babies can't explain it. They just cry until their body goes into spasm. If not treated, he can stop gaining weight. He can have inflammation. He can," she took a breath, "get much worse." Mariana turned pale. And how do we treat it?" Clara began to explain, now professionally, technically, objectively, as she had years ago. First, specific positions for sleeping and feeding. Davi should never feed lying down. He needs to be semi-sitting, always. Then, fractional feedings, small amounts several times a day, no large volumes. And finally, schedules, rules, routine, discipline, and correct medical follow-up, she emphasized. "But until you find a pediatrician who really understands this,
I can take care of him, if you want. Mariana looked at Igor. Her eyes were filled with something very much like hope for the first time in many days. Clara, Mariana called, her voice weak. Would you stay? Would you stay with us? For as long as we need you? Clara was silent. It was as if a forgotten box deep in her chest had been opened. A box containing memories, mistakes, traumas, and now, a chance for redemption. She didn't ask for it. She didn't seek it. She didn't wish for it. But Davi had brought everything to the surface. And reliving it was terrifying, but also liberating. As if she could finally correct the past, even symbolically. I can try, Clara said. Mariana smiled for the first time in a week. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart. The next 48 hours were a complete change in the household routine. And all these changes had one name, Clara. She took the lead with professional precision, as if she had never left a hospital. She created a care plan for Davi with schedules, techniques, records, observations. Mariana and Igor followed her step by step, learning every detail. Davi improved rapidly. The crying decreased. Feedings became calmer. He slept in short but consistent periods. And, for the first time, he didn't scream when he woke up. He just grumbled, seeking attention. It's unbelievable, Igor repeated several times. Unbelievable. Mariana was so emotional that sometimes she had to leave to cry in another room. I thought I was going to lose my baby, she said softly. I thought I would never see him smile again. But now, he smiled, a lot, especially when Clara held him. It was as if he recognized her, even without understanding who she was. There was a natural, spontaneous, almost instinctive connection. And Clara felt the same. With each smile, something inside her melted. With each weight of the small body in her lap, a little piece of the old trauma dissolved. But Clara wasn't the only one observing. Dona Helena, too. On a quiet afternoon, while Clara was feeding Davi in the living room with the newly taught technique, Helena appeared silently at the door. She watched the scene for a few seconds before saying, "You have hands made for this." Clara turned with a shy smile. Helena walked slowly to the couch. "My daughter told me everything," she said. "Your past, your trauma, your work at the hospital, the baby you lost, everything." Clara lowered her eyes, embarrassed. I'm sorry for hiding it." "Don't apologize," Helena said, sitting beside her. "Each person reveals their pain when they are ready." There was wisdom in those words. Helena looked at Davi and smiled. "He's doing so well, so calm. He seems like a different child." She touched her grandson's little foot. "And all thanks to you." Clara swallowed hard.
"I just did what I had to." "You did more than that, my dear," Helena murmured, touching her hand. "You saved an entire family, including me, and I don't want you to leave." Clara was surprised. "I hadn't thought of leaving." Helena smiled tenderly. "Good, because I have a request." Clara straightened up. "What?" Helena held her hand like a grandmother would a granddaughter. "Stay with us, not as an employee, not as a temporary caregiver, but as part of the family," she smiled. "I know how to recognize when God sends someone at the right time." Clara felt her heart race. But before she could answer, she heard footsteps in the hallway. It was Mariana holding an envelope. "Clara," she said, emotional, "we need to talk about this." Clara frowned, not understanding. Mariana handed her the envelope. "It's what you deserve, what we need to do to truly have you with us." Clara opened the envelope and almost dropped it in shock. Inside was a full-time employment contract as a child care specialist with a salary equivalent to that of a senior nurse in a top hospital. Clara was completely speechless. "No, I can't accept this," she said, her voice trembling. "You can," Mariana replied, "and you should. You are not my mother's companion. You are the woman who saved my son,
who saved us, and we want you to be recognized for that." Clara looked at the contract again. It was real, signed, ready. A new life, a chance she never imagined having again. "Please," Mariana insisted, "stay." Clara took a deep breath. She looked at Davi, asleep on her chest. She looked at Mariana, desperate to keep her close. She looked at Helena, smiling wisely. And then she said the phrase that would change everything. "I'll stay." That night, while Davi slept in the next room and the whole house breathed a sigh of relief, Clara went out to the garden. The air was fresh, calm, scented by spring flowers. She felt the wind on her face. She closed her eyes, and for the first time in many years, the weight crushing her chest seemed to have lessened. Maybe Davi had saved more than her professional life. Maybe he had saved her soul. Or maybe Samuel had sent that baby as a last gift. Clara smiled, letting a tear fall. It was the beginning of something new, something enormous, something transformative, and she was ready to move forward. The following days were a mix of intense routine and silent transformation. With Clara's guidance, the Albuquerque house regained peace, a peace that hadn't been felt there in a long time. Davi slept better each night. Feedings became organized, predictable, and the constant irritation was now just a distant memory. Mariana said that hearing her son laugh for the first time in weeks had been like being reborn. And Igor spent several hours of the day observing Clara with an admiration he made no effort to hide. It was as if the entire house recorded, day after day, living proof that this encounter, Clara and Davi, had not been a coincidence. It had been destiny. One morning, a week after signing the contract, Clara was walking in the garden with Davi in her arms. He smiled at the trees, making sounds of enchantment, as if discovering the world for the first time. "Look at that curious little face," Clara whispered, kissing the baby's forehead. He laughed, showing his gums, and squeezed her necklace with his chubby fingers. That's when Mariana appeared at the door with 2 cups of coffee. "I brought it for you," she said, smiling. "I thought you needed it." Clara thanked her and accepted the drink. They sat together on the wooden bench in the garden, while Davi settled comfortably in her lap, wiggling his feet. Mariana watched her for a few seconds, her gaze full of tenderness and gratitude. "Clara, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Are you happy?" Clara stared at the horizon, taking a deep breath. "I am. Much more than I ever imagined I would be." Mariana smiled, but her eyes were teary. "I get so emotional when I see you and Davi together. You two have something special. I can't explain it." Clara looked at the baby, slowly falling asleep in her arms. "Sometimes I think he recognizes me, not as a professional, but as if," she smiled shyly, "as if my soul speaks to his." Mariana nodded, moved. "I feel the same way. That's exactly it." They were silent for a few moments, until Mariana resumed the topic. "Clara, Igor and I were talking. Do you think one day you could teach us all this? Not just the positions and techniques, but the insight, what you see when you look at him." Clara turned, surprised by the depth of the question. "Mariana, I'm already teaching." The next day, Igor asked to feed him alone under Clara's supervision. He had a huge fear of doing everything wrong, and Clara noticed it from the start.
"Igor," she said with a firm voice, "holding a baby isn't about perfection. It's about presence. If he feels you are truly here, that's half the job." Igor took a deep breath and tried again. Davi nursed peacefully in his father's arms. When he finished, Igor cried as if he were letting everything out. "I thought he hated me," he confessed. "I thought I wasn't good enough." Clara smiled gently. "He never hated you. He was just in pain. And now that he's better, he'll discover who you are." And he did. That night, Davi slept on Igor's chest for the first time. Clara watched from the doorway, and something within her opened, something she didn't even know still existed. Pure joy.
Davi's progress was so rapid that it caught his grandmother's attention. Dona Helena began to participate more in family life, animated by her grandson's constant presence and the serenity that had returned to the house. One evening, Helena called Clara to talk in the room. "Sit down, my dear," she said, pointing to the chair nearby. Clara sat with straight posture, still a little timid before the strong figure that Dona Helena was. "I wanted to ask you something," Helena began. "Something personal." Clara swallowed hard. "You can ask." Helena took a deep breath before continuing. "Do you plan to officially go back to working with children? I mean, in a hospital?" The question caught Clara by surprise. I don't know," she admitted. "I'm scared. The memories still hurt. Sometimes when Davi cries harder, something inside me seizes up. It's as if part of me goes back to that day at the hospital." "I understand," Helena nodded. "But my dear, healing isn't about avoiding pain. It's about transforming what it meant to you." Clara remained silent. Helena touched her hand. "You were made for this. It's clear. Davi gave you back something you lost, and maybe there are more children out there waiting for you, even if you haven't realized it yet." Clara spent days thinking about that conversation. A few weeks later, on a sunny morning, Mariana rushed into the kitchen. "Clara," she called, "you won't believe it." Clara turned quickly, her heart racing. "What happened? Is Davi okay?" Mariana smiled, radiant. "He's walking." Clara's eyes widened, surprised and emotional in equal measure. They ran to the living room. There was Davi, holding on to the coffee table, his body swaying like a little penguin about to explore the world. "Come, my love," Mariana encouraged him. Davi took a step, then another, and another. Clara felt her eyes fill with tears. She extended her arms instinctively, without saying anything. And it was to her that Davi went. He walked towards Clara and fell into her arms with a happy giggle. Mariana smiled, Igor clapped, and Clara cried. But this time, it was from joy. "He chose you," Mariana whispered. "Always did." Clara hugged Davi tightly, and there, at that moment, she was absolutely sure. She was where she was supposed to be. The connection between Clara and Davi grew even stronger with the passing months. And as Clara established herself in the house, not just as an employee, but as part of the family, something unexpected began to appear on the horizon. Invitations, recognition, and work. One day, during a follow-up appointment with the new pediatrician, a true specialist this time, the doctor was impressed by the technical report written by Clara. "Who wrote this?" he asked, flipping through the pages. "These details, this precision, are you a pediatrician?" Clara blushed. "I'm a nurse," she replied, "specializing in neonatology." The doctor's eyes widened, excited. "Then you are exactly the kind of professional we are looking for at the clinic. We are forming a family support team. Guidance, home visits, training. You have the perfect profile. Would you be interested in discussing this?" Mariana's eyes widened, incredulous. "Clara, that's wonderful!" Clara felt her legs tremble. It was like being invited back to the life she had left behind, but now without fear. Or with fear, but with the strength to face it. "May I think about it?" she asked. The pediatrician nodded. "Of course, but honestly, I would love to have someone with your ability on the team." When they arrived home, Mariana and Igor were excited. "Clara, it's a sign," Mariana said. "It's the world telling you that you are ready." "You were reborn here, Clara," Igor added, "and now it's time to move forward, if you want to." Clara sat on the sofa with Davi on her lap. He played with his own feet, carefree. But when he noticed she was quieter, he raised his little face and touched her chin with his tiny hand. Clara smiled. "Do you think Aunt Clara is ready to go back to taking care of other babies?" she whispered. Davi smiled. and hugged her neck tightly. It was enough of a response. 3 months passed. Clara accepted the clinic's offer. She helped families going through exactly what Mariana and Igor had experienced. She taught positions, care, techniques, routines, and most importantly, she taught them to listen to the crying. The crying she had once learned to fear. Now she understood it, interpreted it, transformed it. And everywhere she went, she left a trail of relief and hope. She earned the affectionate nickname, the Baby Whisperer. Mariana, Igor, and Helena attended all the lectures, always in the front row, always proud. And Davi grew up loving Clara with all the intensity a small child can feel. He called her Auntie Cla, sometimes Cla-Mom. Mariana thought it was sweet. "He feels like you're part of him," she said, "and you truly are." On Davi's 3rd birthday, the house was full. Balloons, music, family, friends, children running everywhere. Clara was helping to organize the presents when she felt a gentle tug on her dress. "Cla," the childish voice called. She turned around. Davi, with a crooked party hat and cheeks smudged with brigadeiro, looked at her with his enormous eyes. "What is it, my love?" He opened his little arms and said clearly, "I love you, Cla-Mom." Clara froze for a moment. Mariana, who was in the kitchen, saw the scene and brought her hands to her mouth, moved. Clara picked Davi up and held him tightly. "I love you too, my little one," she whispered into his hair, "much more than you imagine." And for the first time since the hospital trauma, Clara realized that her heart had finally found a new place to belong. Not in the past, but there, in that hug, in that family, in that boy, who had also saved her. At the end of the party, when everyone had left, Mariana called Clara to the backyard. The sky was clear, full of stars. "Clara," she began, holding an envelope, "this is for you." Clara frowned. "What is this?" Mariana smiled. "The deed to the annex room we're building. It will be yours, but not as an employee, as part of the family." Clara brought her hand to her mouth, surprised. "Mariana, I can't." "You can," Mariana interrupted, "and you should. You are part of all this, of our story, of our home, of our son's life." Clara was speechless. And then Davi suddenly appeared, running, tripping over his feet, shouting, "Cla-Mom, come see my new room." Clara began to laugh through tears and ran after him. Months later, Clara was lying in a hammock in the backyard while Davi dozed on her chest. The wind swayed the leaves, the scent of flowers filled the air, and she realized she had rediscovered life, a whole life, with purpose, with love, with belonging, with healing, and with a boy who had been the key to everything. Clara closed her eyes and smiled, because now she knew. Behind every cry, there was a call for help, and behind every call for help, there was a chance to save and be saved. Davi had cried for help, and Clara had answered, but without realizing it, he had also answered her silent cry. And together, they had healed deep wounds, wounds that only love, this rare, unexpected, and powerful love, could transform. It was the end of one cycle and the beginning of many others, together, forever. And that's how Clara found not only a new profession, but a new life, a new family, and a new purpose. It all began with a desperate cry in the early morning, a cry no one could understand, but which deep down was also the echo of the cry she herself carried in her soul. Davi saved Clara as much as she saved Davi, and together they proved that love can heal deep wounds, even those no one sees. And now, I want to hear from you. If this story touched your heart, if it moved you in any way, leave your like. This helps the channel a lot and shows that you want more stories like this one. Comment below. What part moved you the most? Clara's connection with Davi, overcoming the trauma, or the transformation of this entire family? Pen, and don't forget, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and share this video with someone who loves moving stories. Because just as Clara found her purpose, perhaps someone else will find theirs through this story too.